The unspoken command. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to have an almost supernatural control over the environment around them? They do it without saying a word. They do not raise their voice. They do not plead or explain. They simply withdraw, a subtle shift in their energy, a quiet retreat into an unbreachable inner sanctum, and suddenly, everything changes. The energy in the room shifts. The loud become quiet. The demands become uncertain. People start to question themselves, to chase after the presence that has just vanished, to feel the profound weight of an absence. Now imagine if you were that person. If, in the face of provocation or demand, you stopped reacting immediately. If you chose a deliberate, meaningful silence instead of the automatic, predictable response. If you chose a strategic retreat instead of an emotional explosion. What do you think would happen? That is where the point of power lies. When you stop being perpetually available, emotionally, physically, and psychologically, the world around you, which has grown accustomed to your predictability, goes into a state of quiet crisis. People are used to controlling you through your reactions, through your impulses, through the reliable buttons they know how to push. But the day you choose to withdraw your energy, the entire game changes. And those who thought they knew you, who thought they had you mapped and understood, will realize they know absolutely nothing about you. You become a mystery. And in that mystery lies your power. This video is not about turning your back on the world. It is about turning towards yourself. It is about learning what Jung called individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole, authentic, and complete. And this process begins when you understand that a deliberate silence can be stronger than 1,000 arguments. That a strategic withdrawal, when it comes from a place of awareness and not from a place of escape, is the ultimate act of power. So I ask you now, looking into your eyes through the void between us, how much longer will you continue to be controlled by the emotional currents of others? How much longer will you react like a puppet every time someone pokes at your old wounds? Perhaps it is time to cut those strings, to withdraw, to become an enigma. Because when you stop being available, everything changes. Before we explore the architecture of this power, a brief moment of stillness. This channel is a space for those who seek to master their inner world. If you are on this path, I invite you to subscribe to ensure you have a guide for the journey ahead. Your presence is a conscious choice. Let us now continue. Chapter 1. Deconstructing the availability trap. You have been taught, since you were a child, to be a ghost. To be present, but not too present. To respond quickly. To please. To say yes, even when your entire being was a resounding no. You have been conditioned to believe that your worth is directly proportional to how available you are to others. But here is a truth that perhaps no one has told you with this level of clarity. This excessive availability is not a virtue. It is a prison. And as long as you continue to believe that you need to be accessible at all times, you will be manipulated, you will be drained, and you will be forgotten the moment you are no longer useful. Do you know why? Because to be always available is to be predictable, and anything that is predictable can be controlled and turned into a tool. People, unconsciously or not, begin to use you as an emotional emergency button. They press it when they want attention, relief, or validation, and then, once they have what they need, they place you back on the shelf. You don't realize this is happening because you are trapped in a beautiful, tragic illusion. The belief that if you are present for everyone, someone will finally be present for you. But the laws of energy do not work that way. The world does not reward neediness. It rewards sovereignty. Carl Jung spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted, loved, and recognized. And it is this very mask that keeps you chained to the post of over-availability. The persona is the part of you that says, "It's okay," when you are suffocating inside. It's the part that responds to messages immediately, even when you are exhausted, because it fears being seen as uncaring. It's the part that explains, justifies, and defends itself as if it owes an explanation for its own existence. But the truth is, the more you place yourself at the center of others' stages, the more you disappear from your own. Being available all the time is a subtle form of self-abandonment. It is a disguised search for approval, a desperate attempt to avoid rejection, a futile effort to control the image others have of you. But this control comes at a price, and the price is your peace. The price is your vital energy, distributed as if it were infinite, when in fact it is the most precious and limited resource you possess. Chapter 2. The Tale of the Village Well. To understand this dynamic, imagine a small, arid village. In the center of this village is a magical well that is always full of fresh, clean water. The well is generous. It asks for nothing. Anyone can come at any time, day or night, and draw as much water as they please. At first, the villagers are grateful. They praise the well for its generosity. But soon, they begin to take it for granted. The water is used not just for drinking, but for washing carts, for watering dying plants, for idle games. It is wasted, spilled on the ground without a second thought. Because it is always there, it is perceived as having no value. No one tends to the well. No one protects it. It is simply a feature of the landscape, a public utility. One day, a wise elder notices the well is becoming murky. The constant, thoughtless drawing of water is stirring up sediment. He places a simple, carved wooden lid over the well. He attaches a small, quiet bell to the lid. Now, to get water, one must consciously lift the lid, and the bell will ring, announcing the act. The village goes into a crisis. The villagers are irritated. They complain about the inconvenience. The well has become selfish, they say. It was never like this before. Those who wasted the water the most are the loudest in their complaints. But something profound begins to happen. Because the water is no longer infinitely accessible, it suddenly becomes valuable. People start to think before they take. They draw only what they need. They begin to appreciate the coolness and clarity of the water. They start to leave small offerings of gratitude by the well. They protect it. The act of drawing water is no longer a mindless habit, but a conscious, respectful transaction. By becoming unavailable, the well did not become cruel. It taught the world its worth. You, with your infinite emotional availability, have been acting as the open well, and the irritation you face when you first place a lid on your energy is the sound of a world that is being forced, for the first time, to recognize your value. Chapter 3. The Conservation of Psychic Energy. Carl Jung did not see the human psyche as a simple machine that reacts to stimuli without consequence. For him, our mind is a dynamic, closed energy system. Every thought, every emotion, and every action consumes a finite amount of this psychic energy, or libido. The critical question is this: are you consciously choosing where your energy goes, or are you allowing the external world to decide for you? Every time you react impulsively, you are creating a leak in your system. When you defend yourself against a criticism that didn't even deserve your attention, you are opening a valve and letting your power drain away. When you respond to a provocation just to prove you are right, when you engage in useless discussions online, when you try to please those who do not value you, you are spending your inner strength on things that do not nourish you. You are watering a garden of rocks. And Jung was clear on this principle. That which you resist persists. The more energy you give to a negative stimulus by reacting to it, the more you bind yourself to it. The more you fight it, the stronger it becomes. People who live in a state of chronic emotional drainage are not weak. They are simply misdirected. Their energy is hemorrhaging outwards instead of being contained and cultivated within. And do you know what happens to someone who lives in a state of energetic exhaustion? They become vulnerable. And when you are vulnerable, you become easy prey. Manipulative, opportunistic, and emotionally needy people have a sixth sense for this. They can sense a leaky energy field. They notice that you do not know how to guard your energy, that you react to everything, that you are always trying to solve the world's problems, and they will attach themselves to you not as partners but as parasites. A healthy psyche, as Jung described it, is one that knows how to keep energy within the system. This means knowing how to say no without guilt. It means knowing how to remain silent without feeling like a coward. It means mastering the art of observing before acting. Because true power is not in the capacity to react, but in the freedom to choose when and if to act at all. This is only possible when you know yourself well enough to recognize your own impulses before they become actions. Your psychic energy is your force field. When it is well guarded, it creates presence. You can enter a room and command respect without saying a single word. But when it is poorly managed, you become invisible, reactive, and fragile. And the world has no mercy for those who give their power away so easily. Chapter 4. The Modern Toolkit of Withdrawal. Let us move from the philosophical to the practical. How do you begin to place a lid on the well? How do you transform withdrawal from an act of escape into an act of power? Tool 1. The practice of intentional delay. Start small. When you receive a text message or an email that does not require an immediate response, do not respond immediately. Give it 10 minutes, then an hour, then half a day. This simple practice begins to break the powerful neurological conditioning of instant reaction. You are teaching your nervous system that you are the master of your time, not the notifications on your screen. You are creating a space between the stimulus and your response, and in that space your power resides. Tool 2. The art of the vague response. When someone is probing you for an emotional reaction or demanding an immediate commitment, you are not obligated to give them a clear yes or no. Master the art of the vague, non-committal response. Phrases like, "I'll have to get back to you on that," or "let me consider that," or "I'm not in a position to decide on that right now." These phrases are not lies. They are boundary markers. They are the sound of a door closing. Gently, but firmly. They buy you time and signal that your decision-making process is internal, not subject to external pressure. Tool 3. Curate your energetic space. Look at your phone. Who do you give immediate access to? Mute notifications for draining group chats or individuals who constantly demand your energy. Unfollow social media accounts that provoke a negative emotional reaction in you. Your attention is a sacred resource. Stop offering it freely to those who pollute your inner environment. This is not about cutting people off. It is about taking conscious control over the flow of energy into your life. Tool 4. The solo retreat. Schedule time to be deliberately unavailable. This can be as simple as an hour a day where your phone is in another room, or as significant as a full day a month where you go somewhere alone, a park, a library, a long drive, with no one knowing exactly where you are. In these moments of true solitude, you recalibrate your energy system. You begin to hear your own thoughts again, separate from the noise of the world's demands. You remember who you are when you are not performing for anyone. The rebirth into presence. We began with the image of a person who commands a room with their silence. We now understand that this command does not come from a technique, but from a state of being. It comes from a well-guarded inner world, from an energy that is contained, cultivated, and powerful. By becoming unavailable to the world, they have become fully available to themselves. We have journeyed through the painful landscape of the availability trap, understanding how our conditioning turns our generosity into a prison. We have seen through the parable of the village well how becoming unavailable is the first step to teaching the world our true value. We have explored Jung's concept of psychic energy, recognizing that our inner strength is a finite resource that must be consciously managed. And we have armed ourselves with a practical toolkit: intentional delay, vague responses, energetic curation, and the solo retreat to begin the process of reclaiming that power. When you stop being available to everyone, something profound begins to happen. First comes the silence, an uncomfortable silence that seems to scream inside you. You will be tested by your own guilt. But gradually, this silence transforms. It begins to cleanse, to calm, to heal. And then comes solitude, but not the solitude of absence. It is the solitude of total presence, your own. In that space where there was once the frantic noise of anxiety, a quiet peace enters. Where there was once the ache of neediness, a new kind of strength enters, the strength of being whole within yourself. You are not fleeing the world. You are returning to yourself. The people who feel uncomfortable with your absence reveal that they never wanted you. They wanted the role you played. You will lose people, but you will find yourself. You will distance yourself from places, but you will reconnect with your essence. You will be misunderstood, but finally, you will begin to be respected. Because when you are no longer available for just anything, you become rare, you become valuable, you become unforgettable. This is a rebirth, the start of a life where you are no longer available for emotional crumbs, for mind games, for voids disguised as affection. Now you only accept what resonates with your peace, with your truth, with your wholeness. As Carl Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. You have been given the map. The journey begins now. If you are ready to stop being the open well and start guarding your own sacred energy, make a declaration. Comment below with the words, "My presence is my power." Let this be a public commitment to your own individuation. And do not let this be a fleeting moment of inspiration. To continue this journey, to delve deeper into these tools, subscribe to the channel and join a community that values depth over noise. The next video is waiting to guide you further. Your true self is waiting.